And welcome, fight fans, to another episode of Before the Bald Man Speaks. I'm your host, as always, Andrew Lawrence, and we are coming to you live after our very first. It's our very first show, coming live after a Bellator event, starting after Bellator Dynamite won their cross promotion with Glory in the main event of Tito Ortiz losing his attempt, his final grasp of glory against Liam McGeary, who coast to his first light heavyweight title defense in that organization. Here with me on Before the Bald Man Speaks, helping me break down all the action and all the crazy news and just the regular freak show, Cirque du Soleil-esque nature of Bellator is the one and only Carlin Bardsley. Carlin, how you doing, man?
I'm doing well, man. Thank you for having me. I always get a kick out of talking to you, so it's always nice to do it in an environment like this. And I got to ask, what are you drinking?
Well, I just took a sip of water because we have to coast down. I figured if anyone is going to have to listen to me, I was slurring just before the Tito fight, so I decided we're going to move to water. But we did some damage. We did a little bit of damage.
Nice. Yeah,
nice. We didn't go crazy. We didn't get the fifth, We're just getting the pint, being a gentleman.
And I'm in Southeast Asia right now. I'm in Taiwan, and you can only get this beer here. It's a Taiwan gold medal beer, but honestly, this stuff is the shit. I'm Canadian. I'm a discerning beer drinker, but this is actually really, really good.
Any good beer that you can find over in Asia, you have to treasure.
Exactly. Yeah.
Not exactly the craft brew, capital of the world there. But cheers to you and cheers to Scott Coker. Probably a successful night of fights for him, I guess.
Ganbei! That's what we say here.
Ganbei. All right.
Love it.
All right. So we had Liam McGeary, first round submission against Tito Ortiz in his first title defense. The odds makers had him as a heavy favorite, and we kind of ended up seeing why, I guess. What do you take away from this fight? Liam McGeary, someone to watch in the future. Tito Ortiz washed up. Which one?
I thought that the odds makers had it right in favoring Liam McGeary heavily. I did not. The odds fell on the under 1.5 very hard. I didn't agree with that. I thought it was going to be a later stoppage. I thought Liam McGeary was going to stop Tito probably round 3, round 4, after softening him up a bit and waiting for Tito to gas out. That didn't happen. And oh my God, how awesome was it, though, for those 3.5 minutes, whatever it was, to see Tito Ortiz being Tito Ortiz in 2015. He had Liam McGeary on his back. He was firing down the ground and pound. I was like, oh my God, I feel so young right now. But Liam McGeary just has one of those builds. He's one of the few guys that could convincingly pull off that inverted triangle. He's just really long and really lanky. And Tito put his head in the wrong spot for a second, and boom, it was done. And, that kind of, shocked me out of my haze. And I was like, oh, wow, my knees and my neck kind of hurt. I guess I'm still old.
Yeah, the rigor mortis started kicking in really quickly. Tito Ortiz, I put a small bet on Tito Ortiz tonight just because I thought that, the odds were juicy enough to, throw a quick gamble. We knew that Liam McGeary had questionable takedown defense. It came up in the fight early. It looked like I was going to cruise to my money right there for a little while when he was landing some pretty savage ground and pound. But Liam has a chin on him. Definitely had the beard to take some of those shots, and scooted that inverted triangle choke. I think Luke Rockhold's the last person I remember catching that submission hold. There's probably been some others in lower levels, but if you're Bellator CEO, Bellator President Scott Coker, are you happy or are you sad? Are you happy that Liam McGeary, a young, getting established fighter, becoming a Bellator name, or are you upset that your cash cow didn't also get the belt?
No, I think you're happy. I think you have to be happy at this point. Liam McGeary, if Bellator is going to have a future, is that future, okay? So there's a highlight you can show till the cows come home. All right, him tapping out the legend Tito Ortiz, and you've got him going in now against Phil Davis, who's another high-profile guy from the UFC, right? So I think that you have to be happy if you're Scott Coker. You have to ride with the young buck. You have to, throw your chips in that pot. Tito Ortiz, he's still going to make you money. You can still throw him in Legends fights. This is a promotion that signed Fedor Emelianenko tonight, okay? You know, if they can't find another opponent for Fedor, if they can't get Randy Couture, if they don't want to do Bobby Lashley, Tito Ortiz is a viable opponent for Fedor Emelianenko. So you're going to make money off Tito regardless. You have to be happy Liam McGeary won because that was legitimacy inducing.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you there. I think that if you're trying to build a long-term league, you need to have stars that are homegrown. And Liam is probably the biggest legitimate Bellator homegrown star right now. I guess you could say Michael Chandler, who seems to almost be fading, but nevertheless.
I'm a big Michael Chandler guy. I just got to throw that out there.
We'll circle around to it, actually, because there was something I want to discuss once we finish discussing the card. We mentioned the Fedor signing, and I want to get to that, but let's just finish off with the main event. We had one spectacular Tito moment beyond just the ground and pound we had for about 2 minutes there, in that we had a really awesome Tito Ortiz post-fight speech.
Yeah.
If you had to rank this in all of Tito, moments in the cage, because Tito's definitely said dumber things, and Tito's, I don't know if he's been smarter than that, but where do you rank this in all-time Tito moments?
I thought it was up there, man. That's one of the few moments that I think everyone could identify with Tito Ortiz. He was just shell-shocked, and they had that great moment where they kept doing the super slow-mo, him going, over and over again. I was like, all right, this is your Bellator moment.
My best part was the Bellator crew completely missed every single swear. They definitely tried to hit blurring out those swears, but every single time Tito said fucking, it was clearly audible.
Well, I mean, if they're going to show it in super slow-mo, what are we really missing, right?
This just blew up the whole idea of censorship. It just is such a part. Yeah.
And over and over again. Whoa. No, let's see it again. Whoa. They weren't showing the actual fucking tap. They were just showing him swearing afterwards over and over again.
Which is really probably going to be the highlight reel for Liam McGeary. It's going to be
there
just watching him you know what else is interesting? They had him say fuck intentionally bleeped, in a promo case. So I don't know. Bellator, they're trying to go with this WWE wrestling thing, and I guess that includes a lot of bleeped out swearing.
I don't know. You know better than I do. I don't watch WWF, but
I don't either. I'm assuming it is the same way that it was in the early '90s.
But if you're doing a pre-tape, then I understand that because you can just you can take it out. You have the time, but clearly the spike sensors or whatever the production crew is that does it, not that quick on the trigger.
Yeah, stoned guy on the 3-second delay. Yeah.
He said, fuck. Oh, fuck. That's my job.
I'm the guy. Yeah. Overall, not a great main event, even with the surprising finish and kind of, a little bit of nostalgia there. Overall, maybe a better fight than normal, but not really the note you really wanted to end with, super huge excitement, I feel like. Oh, it looks like I think we might have call installing. I'll move on to the co-main event fight. The co-main event was the tournament finale between Phil, Mr. Wonderful Davis, and surprisingly Francis Carmon. The 4-man Bellator light heavyweight tournament obviously ended in the way that all tournaments in MMA do, and we had an alternate. Francis Carmon fought very early in the day. Against, I forget, it was his third replacement opponent, and he clearly just out-grappled him. Your typical Francis Carmon fight, in that you don't really remember what happens because as soon as the bell rings, he has a sneaky habit of inducing temporary amnesia over the entire audience. So pretty rough one for the tournament finale. Phil Davis was supposed to be fighting King Mo, which would have been, I think, what Bellator was shooting for here and what they were trying to accomplish inside of with this 4-man tournament. Clearly, they weren't putting all their chips in Linton Vassell, And I think even having Emmanuel Newton in there, that would have been a wild card that everyone would have enjoyed, because everyone enjoys a little bit of crazy Manny Newton. But, you know, all the best laid plans in MMA, this one kind of fell by the wayside as well. Francis Carmon just gets dominated by Phil Davis in a first-round TKO. Check that, first-round KO victory by Phil Davis. Phil Davis just absolutely floors him with the left, kind of a left hook-ish uppercut overhand. I think it was like an overhand left that did the job right on his chin, and Francis just crumbled. Phil Davis, really kind of that perennial 4-5 guy in the UFC, really has a chance here with Bellator to probably be their #1 guy. I do not see Liam McGeary with, his wrestling game being able to beat Phil Davis. If you can't take Tito Ortiz takedowns, if you can't stop those, then you're definitely not stopping Phil Davis's. And his jiu-jitsu game, while really good and maybe good enough to catch a Tito Ortiz off his back, he's definitely not good enough to get someone like Phil Davis off his back. Phil Davis, being a renowned Brazilian jiu-jitsu champion, I think he was the Abu Dhabi champion the year after he won his national or his NCAA wrestling championship. So for me, I think that the acquisition of Phil Davis for Bellator, if they were looking for someone to take over the light heavyweight division, then they clearly got what they were asking for. Let's see if that ends up being the case. And we'll probably see that very soon, I imagine. Before that, in my opinion, the fight of the night went to that light heavyweight championship bout in Glory. Overall, I think that Bellator and their card really underperformed the entire time, and the light heavyweight Glory tournament stole the show for me in my book. Let me make sure I get these guys' names right, because we have one man from the Republic of Congo fighting the Brazilian with the name, of course, Cassius Clay. Now, fans of the show will remember that I had some stern words for Clay Collard, using the great Muhammad Ali's slave name as their nickname, called it quite offensive and whatnot. This Brazilian man chose his nickname of Cassius Clay with having zero relationship to it. At least Cassius Clay Collard, your first name's Clay. I can understand like the impetus for someone at the gym to be like, "Hey, Cassius Clay, Cassius Clay." That's gonna happen. That's a natural nickname, and I'll agree with it. If your name is Sulo Cavalieri, and you nickname yourself Cassius Clay Cavalieri, that is ridiculous and beyond ridiculous. But he won the light heavyweight Glory Championship tonight, and probably the fight of the night, and probably the person who gained the most out of all of this this event out of any of the fighters. A bizarre instance in the second round where the referee took a point with him for holding. There was some speculation that he wasn't warned throughout the fight for holding, but nonetheless, later on, they came on the broadcast and said that indeed he had been warned twice by the referee, which I found somewhat suspect, and maybe he had warned him in kind of the casual way referees do, and not like, taking him to the side. But they did take a point deduction, didn't end up affecting the outcome of the fight, although it did cause one scorecard to become a draw. He won by a majority decision of 48-46, which was the scorecard I gave him. I had Muikasa, the Black Warrior, Zach Muikasa, the Congolese fighter I referred to earlier. He took the first round clearly, landing most of the most effective punches, and it looked like he was backing down Cavalieri pretty much consistently throughout the first round. The second round, we really kind of saw a shift once Cavalieri landed that head kick that really didn't land flush to the head, but hit him on the wrists and arms. But definitely had enough power and momentum to put him on his feet and trip him. They did not rule that a knockdown, which was once again, kind of borderline. Could have been a knockdown. Might have might have not been a knockdown. And it could have affected the scores had the judges give it. I think the right call was made in that it was a slip, but I also believe that that was the point in that heavyweight or light heavyweight fight that it really turned the tide. Cavalieri really took control, started implementing a diverse kick game that Moikasa just didn't have an answer for the rest of the fight. Looks like we got a couple people joining us here on the fight. Hello. We're seeing.
Hello.
Hello, how you doing? You're not Carlin.
I'm doing pretty good. How you doing?
Are you Carlin?
My name's Carlin, yeah.
Carla Mia.
No, Carlin.
Carlin, how are you doing, Carlin?
Doing pretty good. How about yourself?
Really good. Carlin, what do you think? How do you think the light heavyweight glory title fight went?
Well, I think the critics kind of basically gave kind of low rating to the fight. I think it was very underrated. I thought it was a good fight. I thought both.
How did you score it?
Well, I kind of scored it pretty equal to the judges, to be honest.
That's amazing. It's amazing that it was equal to the judges. So you agreed with the winner of the fight?
Yeah, I agree with the winner of the fight.
Yeah,
No.
yeah. Could you refresh me refresh my memory with the name of the person who won the fight?
Yeah, absolutely. Now, Berto, he's not a very good fighter, but that little nigger, Floyd Mayweather, is a good fighter.
Okay.
He's a real good
Wow.
fighter.
All right.
He's a fast little nigger that just dodges everybody trying to swing at him.
Amazing. And toodaloo to that. Now, that was fascinating. We had a random call in there. Someone managed to hop in this group chat for some reason. Good Lord, Carlin, get your security together a little bit. Having people coming in here and dropping the N-bombs. I did like that whoever managed to spam into our show understood that this was a fighting show. Guest boxing, which, I could clearly see how they could have inferred that. Pretty good troll roll from the internet there. Thanks, Carlin, for being such a great guest and giving out that code. Before that fight, we had Josh Thompson in a complete squash match against Mike Bronzulisi, whatever his last name is. I apologize for messing up your last name. But, if this had been a more exciting fight, I would have paid more attention to it. This was a squash match. Josh Thompson looked like he out-grappled him forever. This Mike character seemed like he was winning the stand-up exchanges, though, and was landing with power. I'm not very high on Josh moving forward in this. I think that as soon as he comes up with anyone with some serious power, with a little bit higher level skills, and a little bit more grappling savvy, Josh Thompson is not going very far, even in the 155-pound division of Bellator. Before that, we had Paul Daly fight Fernando Gonzalez in another squash match, but this time in the Glory Ring. Fernando Gonzalez had a 1-2 kickboxing record, which is atrocious when you consider that Paul Daly has a 20-4 or 20-3 record in kickboxing. This was an unsanctionable fight and a really, real travesty of matchmaking. But Daly didn't look like all that great through it. He looked like he was rolling solidly through the first and the second. I think this was meant to be a highlight reel KO set up for Daly, but he didn't seem to be able to live up to that. He lost the third card, or the third round in my card, and I think a lot of that didn't really have to do with really unbiased judging as much as it did with the heart that Gonzalez showed. He changed up and started going to the body. He showed real urgency in the third to kind of make something happen on his end. Ultimately, I scored this card a D, though. A squash match and something for Daly to really make a showcase, put himself in the talk for contenders, I guess, in Glory, and really didn't capitalize on being newsworthy there. Before that, Gilbert Melendez's wife, Kiri Melendez, fought another squash match against Haley Griffith, and Haley Griffith managed to just stick around enough to be alive there. And we have someone else joining us, a man by the name of Neil. Hello, Neil. Yeah, so Kerry Melendez got absolutely was absolutely dominant against Haley Griffin. Another unconscionable matchup. You had someone I think with zero kickboxing experience against a clearly veteran and a clearly savvy Melendez. Melendez, put it on her for all 3 rounds. Looked like she almost had a finish here and there, but ultimately, this wasn't a match that I could enjoy just because the matchmaking was so discrepant. I appreciate that this was the first Glory female kickboxing event, and while I applaud their effort to highlight female athletes in the sport, I think that mismatches like this and the attempt of making a a star out of Kerry Melendez, it was really against what we wanted to do in and featuring female athletes as high level talented fighters. I think a much more compelling first kickboxing event would have been 2 very well rounded, very talented, evenly matched women. Even if we didn't have the name recognition of Melendez out there. Before this was kicked off, the main event was the Bellator 4-man tournament, and we got to see King Muhammad Lawal get in there and put the ass whooping on Linton.
Welcome to our pod.
Okay, so we're back, and everything is getting serious now. And you know what? I realized what happened. Carlin, once I shared the link to this, I realized that Carlin probably got to this first and was able to post. I don't know. This is what happens when you share the link with random people from Taiwan. You get a lot of a lot of people on unsecure servers getting this info. So before that, like I said, King Mo put the ass whooping on Linton Vassell. Linton Vassell.
Hello, I'm here.
Hey, what's up?
Hey, nothing much. How's it going?
Peace.
What?
And Carlin, we have you back. What's up, man?
Sorry about that, man. I've got like a maid cleaning my place right now, and she cut out the internet, and it was a total Family Guy moment, right? Like she's Filipina, but she acted exactly like a Mexican maid. She's like, no, cut out the internet. I'm like, I think I'm pretty sure you just kicked the cord right out. No.
That cord was kicked out. The cord was kicked out before.
Yeah, exactly. No. You kick. Okay, all right.
So while you've been out, by the way, we've had more people join this chat than I've ever seen before. Not as viewers, but actual people like calling into it. I've had to eject, multiple people. I think that one dude tried to show his cock before I got. I think I ejected him before it got on the live feed. But I'm saying, I'm thinking that internet connection in Taiwan isn't all that secure. So mind your P's and Q's on your Twitter feed.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, like in Canada, we're all riled up about Bill C-51, which will allow the government to spy on us. But I'm pretty sure in Taiwan, they're always watching me anyway, so I just don't care.
Oh, everyone's watching in Taiwan, including guys willing to whip out their dick at any moment.
Well, look out for them.
You're worried about Big Brother. Be worried about big cocks. Poking into your video streams on the internet. We covered a lot of shit.
Worried about big cocks. I don't think that'll be an issue in Taiwan.
Touche to you, Mister. We covered a lot of shit while you were gone, man. So I'll just get your kind of your 2 cents on each one of it. What was your favorite fight out of everything that happened in this Dynamite card?
Hard to say because as a card, it wasn't great. I'm not gonna lie to you, but as an event, it was pretty awesome. So I'm kind of in this weird middle ground. I don't know. I guess fight of the night is Sakakibara versus English.
Oh, Okay.
Like,
That was a brutal fight. There was a lot of casualties. There's a lot of people got injured outside of the cage too. I'm not sure if I've recovered. I think my girlfriend swore off MMA forever after dealing with all.
Yeah. And you know what's sad about that is that this was like Glory's big chance to win over a very large audience, and the kickboxing fights just kind of sucked. I'm sorry, I give much respect to everyone in that sport, but the way kickboxing fans try to sell kickboxing to MMA is like, oh, it's like MMA, but with all the bullshit, the ground fighting and the clinching, and I'm sorry, dude. It was like watching a Mayweather fight. I could respect the skill, but I was just completely not entertained at all.
Yeah, I think it's fine to understand that this is a sport and it takes a skill set and that these are phenomenal athletes, and just not be entertained by a thing. That is an okay reaction to have to something, and that's what some people feel like when it's flyweights. And I respect those people's opinions on that. I disagree with it, and I enjoy it. Flyweights more than the typical fan does, but that's fine. Everyone can have their own unique idea of what their combat sport should be. I found the light heavyweight fight for Glory to be the fight of the night for me. It was the most entertaining thing that I saw, only because the other fights that had finishes them seemed to be such squash matches. Whose stock out of all the fighters tonight, whose stock rose the most tonight?
Phil Davis, absolutely. I am not a Phil Davis fan. You can ask James Lynch about this. We have a lot of disagreements on where Phil Davis belongs ranking-wise in the sport. But Phil Davis got 2 finishes over 2 game opponents. Not the opponents, if he'd be King Mo, it would say a lot more to me. But the fact of the matter is, Phil Davis had 2 good stoppages against 2 recognizable opponents. They're going to show that choked for a long time. Phil Davis, as soon as he hit that boom hook, it was over. So that is the taste that Bellator needs for Phil Davis to wash the UFC washout taste out of the mouth, right? So Phil Davis had a huge night. I don't like Phil Davis as an athlete, not as a person. I want to make that very clear.
Seems like a nice guy.
Yeah, actually, funny story. I'll tell you this one. Cool. All right, at the Fight Network party, Phil Davis was there. I was there, and a person that will remain nameless was there. And I was kind of buttering up Phil Davis because I wanted him on my show, right? And so we're chit chatting, I'm doing the schmooze thing, and he actually is. He seems like a really nice guy. And then my friend comes over and says, "Oh my God, Phil, you should totally do his show. He's going to grill the fuck out of you." I went, "What?" And Phil, you can just see his facial expression go like this. He was like, "What? What do you mean?" "Oh, you put him in a cheetah fight? Man, he'll hold your feet to the fire." And Phil's like, "Oh, good. I guess we'll do that soon." And right away, I was like, "No."
You're like, "Hey, thanks so much because I had a shot at that interview and now I have none."
Yeah, it went crash and burn in flames. And it's the reason it's a funny story is he thought he was helping me. He really did. That's why I can tell it and laugh about it,
Yeah, how did that not work out for you? I just told him that you're a hardcore journalist who's gonna beat his ass up over a split decision that everyone unanimously agrees that he lost. Super. No problem there.
Yeah. I'm surprised you get the booking for the next day, right?
How did that not work out? Shocker. So Phil Davis, I agree with you. Probably, not only won the most by getting the number 1 contender spot by winning the 4-man, 5-man, 8-man tournament, however many they needed to get Phil to.
Can I interject for 1 second? Can we just take this as gospel now that tournaments fucking suck?
Yes.
I mean, I'm sorry, but everyone likes to harken back to the old UFC days or the old Pride days. Tournaments are great. No, when was the last goddamn good tournament you saw? It wasn't on this continent. I guarantee you that, and it wasn't within the past 10 years. I guarantee you that too. Not everything is going to be the Pride 2003 Middleweight Grand Prix. Okay, it's just not going to happen. I would rather see 1 fight that I know is going to be good than 3 that I know are going to suck.
Yes, and I think that modern science and what we're learning about concussions just really emphasizes how terrible it really is to take concussive blows or even subconcussive blows, and then go out and add more damage out to it after you've had the time to let the brain like begin its swelling process where it begins the healing process. You know,
sure, it's not like a wrestling tournament or a jiu-jitsu tournament. You're getting fucking knocked in the skull, you know?
This is seriously being, you know, causing mild brain damage, sometimes major brain damage. More than that, too, it's just not all that entertaining. There just is so many variables. And I think it worked in Pride mostly because, you know, you had a promotion that actively encouraged fighters to take performance-enhancing drugs. You know, and you're talking about the heyday of EPO and all those drugs that, like, you know, enabled a lot of stamina and you know, gave rapid recovery. So, you know, I don't want to blame it entirely on that, but I think that most of the success of tournaments in that era can be directly attributed to the idea that, you know, people were roided out of their brains.
Yeah, and on the flip side of that, I mean, like, everyone likes to point to Hoist Gracie. I'm a huge Hoist Gracie fan. He's kind of the guy that got me into this whole thing, right? But, you know, fucking no one likes to talk about Steve Jenham. You know, Steve Jenham, UFC tournament 3 winner. Yeah, yep. Exactly. Yeah. So, like, you know, I don't like tournaments as a rule. I think they're a throwback, a hearkening to something that, you know, is a romantic past notion that doesn't really fucking exist.
Yes, exactly. I'm perfectly fine with allowing the past to kind of live and stay in the past. So, you know, tournaments had their place in MMA, and we evolved beyond it, and let's stay evolved.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Okay. We talked about it briefly before you got cut off, but Fedor Emelianenko not going to the UFC. Fedor Emelianenko is now officially part of Bellator FC, or just Bellator, whatever the fuck they're calling themselves. Scott Coker, a huge victory for him, or did he just overpay for a Russian guy again?
No, I think it's a victory. I mean, like, Fedor's got huge global appeal. If they're trying to reach out beyond the continental United States, Fedor's a huge asset in doing so. So I think this is a win for Scott Coker. I think this is you know, a good thing for Bellator. You know, I got in a little bit of a verbal tussle with a certain overweight guy that writes for Fox Sports, but you know, I don't have a whole lot of respect for his opinion anyway.
Ooh,
so
the shots have been fired. Boom.
Yeah, never mind. Anyway, the point is that he was saying, like, oh, if you can't see the difference, you know, between, you know, promoting Kimbo Slice versus Ken Shamrock and seeing what a mistake signing Fedor would be, then I don't know what to tell you. I'm like, you clearly don't know what to tell me. You clearly just don't. All right? Fedor, he plays into that Bellator wheelhouse where it's established legends. You know, hopefully the business model is you're going to tune in to see Fedor. You're going to tune in to see Kimbo and Ken. You're going to tune in to see Tito. You're going to leave a fan of Liam McGarry. You're going to leave a fan of Michael Chandler. You know, like, that's kind of the way that they've set this whole thing up. And I get that. You know, it's working. People are watching it, right? So, you know, I think Fedor's a huge thing, especially if they're doing a New Year's Eve card. With Sakakibara, clearly they're going to have some Japanese exposure as well. Whether Sakakibara is still hooked up with the Yakuza or not, I don't know. I'm going to have to ask a friend of mine that follows those matters closer than I do to find out about that. But, you know, clearly that this is a global move by Bellator, not just a continental United States move.
Yeah, you know, the one big plus on the Fedor coming to Bellator is that we do have, you know, the Japanese criminal element back in MMA. And if there's one thing if there's one thing we've been missing so much was organized crime on both continents now. Not just Las Vegas, you know, casino, Italian mafioso men. No. We needed to go across the ocean and get some Japanese Yakuza back involved in the sport to make it great once again.
We missed you, Yakuza. We missed you.
We missed neck tattoos and, you know.
Missing pinkies.
Yeah, these are the things that MMA has made MMA great for years. Let's not fuck with that's you want to you know, total fucking domination. You need some Yakuza backing, and that's that.
That's right. Yeah, that's why UFC's world fucking domination didn't work. They had no Yakuza contacts.
No, yeah, you need the Yakuza contacts, no question.
Yeah.
I saw an interesting tweet during this thing that Hell's Angels were actually present at the Bellator Dynamite event, kind of being pseudo security. Don't know how far to take that, but you know, the more shady elements involved in MMA, in my mind, the better.
Well, I don't know anything with the Hells Angels in the States. All I know is like what I saw in that fucking Stones documentary, Gimme Shelter, where they were like security at Altamont.
Yeah.
That didn't go so well, okay? That did not go so well. But in Quebec, you can't do anything without the Hells Angels, quite frankly, okay? Like the TKO, they're, how do I say this so I don't get sued?
Alleged. Just say alleged every other word.
Yeah, there were some alleged affiliations.
Allegedly.
Allegedly, yeah. Titan, you know, like wanted to run a show there this summer, and allegedly there was some things that they weren't comfortable with.
Allegedly,
and yeah, but I don't know. If you're not the UFC and you can just like throw down a whack of cash, you need partners, and allegedly, the Hells Angels are those partners in Quebec. So I'm not sure how that plays into San Jose. I don't know the culture out there. I would think Scott Coker has known enough people over the years that he wouldn't need such an element, but I don't know.
Yeah. So, Canadian meth heads or Quebecese meth heads, make sure you're spending good solid money so that the Hells Angels can focus directly on the meth trade and can get out of combat sports, so you can have a thriving local scene again. So
come on, Frenchies, take care of this.
French Canadian MMA fans, you need to get your meth heads, get a much more active drug habit so that you can have a thriving local scene again. Come on, guys, do I have to spell everything out for everyone?
For Christ's sakes.
Jesus Christ.
Okay,
real quick. French. Paul Daly in his glory fight, was that a win for him or was that a loss for him? I mean, he won the fight, but ultimately, did his stock rise or did we see holes in the armor?
It's a placeholder. That's all I can really say about it. Like his stock didn't go down. If he had lost, his stock would have gone way down. But this wasn't the highlight reel fucking thing that Bellator wanted to showcase Paul Daly and to hype up the Koscheck rematch. This wasn't with that, but he didn't do himself any damage. It's a placeholder. People are going to watch Daly Koscheck too in December or whenever they do it. So it was a whole lot of meh.
Yeah, exactly. You kind of hit the nail on the head with my assessment of it. All right, everyone else here, let me ask you this. Ultimately, do you think it was a really savvy move by King Mo to pull out with an injury in this fight? Because now he's looking like, he'll probably fight the winner of Liam McGeary, Phil Davis, especially if Phil Davis wins that one, which will probably be a humongous favorite to do. King Mo's looking right in there with some victory against some schmuck. He's probably going to get a title shot, and he's going to end up getting more cash off of it than just, losing to Phil Davis here.
Yeah, King Mo didn't land well off that slam. So I understand, he probably was legit hurt. But, yeah, he looks like a goddamn genius right now, to be quite honest with you. He can let Phil Davis fight Liam McGeary and kind of be waiting in the wings. And, he's created his own narrative now. And I don't know how the payouts for Bellator work. I don't know if he was going to get, performance and performance for 2 fights or just performance and locker room for 1 fight, so if he kind of saw, he read the tea leaves and said, okay, fuck this. I'm not going to fight twice tonight. I'm going to make more money down the line if I just go home, then King Mo's a genius. Well, what else do you say about that? Because right now, no matter what happens in that Phil Davis, Liam McGeary fight, people are going to be asking, well, what would happen if King Mo was healthy? What would happen if King Mo becomes the narrative, okay? Yeah. He's in a much better spot than he would have been, even if he had beat Phil Davis, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think if there was ever any kind of question with that injury, might as well duck out of this fight. You kind of smell the event souring a little bit there, and find yourself a greener pasture where you're going to probably be the main event in a really big deal in a fight in the future. Really, the only people we have left to talk about is the big homie Manny Newton. I'm glossing over the Kerry Melendez Hadley Griffin kickboxing fight. While it was the first female glory kickboxing fight, I think it was a real big squash match, and I wasn't too happy with the matchmaking there. But I do want to talk briefly.
I have a daughter. I have a daughter who's going to be 2 in December, and she's the cutest thing in the world. I love you, Chloe. But she would have put up a better fight against Carrie Melendez.
Yeah, poor Hadley Griffith, really just didn't have any real kickboxing experience, and especially not in a stage like that. She was there and she did what she was expected to do, I imagine. Really want to talk real quick about the big homie Manny Newton and Linton Vassell. Out of those two guys who were washouts early in it, who do you foresee being a bigger factor in Bellator's plans moving forward?
Oh, Newton, hands down. I mean, I've never been particularly impressed with Linton Vassell. Like, no disrespect to the man. I don't think he's at that level. You know what I mean? Emmanuel Newton, I mean, he shocked the world at that spinning back fist against King Mo. I mean, who didn't love that, especially after Bjorn Remy spent all that money promoting King Mo. And, Bjorn has made some questionable decisions in his Bellator career, and that was just one of the ones where the people that didn't like Bjorn got all their chance to fucking crow about it. You know what I mean? It's like, oh my God, well, there's 7 figures I'll never get back kind of thing.
I think the maybe one of the biggest failures in Bellator's, the early phases of the Scott Coker run of Bellator has been, putting those guys on TNA. I don't know what kind of embarrassment happened there. And TNA, I don't even think is like a wrestling promotion anymore. But I can only imagine TNA is like a wrestling thing that they made. King Mo and Tito Ortiz did it. Like they were out there like fake pro wrestling.
Oh, it's like a wrestling show that's on Spike?
Yeah, except that it's not on Spike anymore. That's the crazy part about it. It's got canceled from Spike. I don't think it exists anymore.
Why is it called TNA? Isn't TNA tits and ass?
Yeah, I think those wrestling promotions, they try. They try really hard. It's as embarrassing as MMA can be occasionally. There's no comparison to how embarrassing it must be to be a professional wrestling fan.
Oh, I know. And what the worst part is that the people who are like wrestling fans that come over and become MMA fans, always trying to defend wrestling and treat it like it's some legitimate thing. It's like, okay, I can automatically woodpile your opinion. You clearly know shit about shit. You know what I mean?
I mean, I can respect that it's an athletic endeavor that's difficult to do, and that I'm not capable of doing it. I can respect that that there's people who watch it and that there's money to be made from it. But beyond that, I don't like watching a bunch of fake shit happen. That's what it is. It's fake shit, man.
I'm going to bring up that overweight gentleman that I have disagreements with on Fox Sports again. And he tried to explain
out by name. Don't be shouting out people by. Everyone knows.
Everyone knows, so I don't need to say it, right?
I guess, yeah.
I'm trying so hard not to get sued here, Andrew. Come on.
No one's suing you.
All right. So anyway, the point is that he tried to explain to me but these guys get really hurt, so you should respect that. And I thought, okay, they pretend to fight and they get really hurt. Doesn't that mean they fucking suck at their jobs?
Well, here's my thing. What makes that a shitty argument is you can't just respect people because they got hurt fucking up something. If you don't like what the guys on Jackass do, well, those guys get hurt. It doesn't justify what they're doing as a pleasurable experience for you. Here's the bottom line: it's professional wrestling fans secretly desire to be vindicated by everyone else in the world because everyone points at them and calls them losers. And they can't just roll with the idea of okay, there's a subsect of humanity that's always going to think we're losers. We do not give a fuck about their opinion. No, these are the exact people who they needed it. They need people to be no, it's okay. We approve of what you do. No, we don't. We think it's fucking stupid. I do a bunch of stupid shit that there's whole swaths of humanity that think is fucking stupid, but I don't give a fuck. That's the key.
I'm a Guns N' Roses fan in 2015. I'm not playing the cool guy card. You know what I mean? It is. It's fucking
the dumbest thing in the world.
But I don't look to other people to tell me it's okay.
I can like something dumb as shit and just roll with it. You know,
Exactly.
I can respect a wrestling fan who recognizes the inherent stupidity of watching a bunch of fake men do do soap operas and then slam each other as they whisper in each other's ear. Yeah, okay, that's absurd.
While being greased up and wearing tights and something called TNA.
This is absurd. That's absurdity. The fact that someone's saying that's absurd offends you.
Yeah, if I I watched WWF when I was a kid. I saw Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant and all that, But like, oh my God, if I had I'm another guy. What do you want from me? All right. But like, if I was downstairs, like watching like something where like a bunch of greased up dudes in their underwear were like rolling on top of each other, to fireworks and whispering each other's ear, and my dad comes down and he goes, "What are you watching?" I said, "TNA." He would have beat the fuck out of me, and you know what? He would have been right to do it.
Well, actually, if you had said TNA, he probably would have like given you the pass, being like, "Yeah, I hope there's going to be some naked chicks coming out soon,"
Yeah, but watching what I'm watching, and I call it TNA, he would not have been okay with that. And you know what? He would have been right.
Yeah. All right, so diatribe against professional wrestling aside,
fucking wrestling, man.
Fucking wrestling.
Come on. Grow
you know
up.
what though? And I've said this argument before, but I'll reinstate it here because I feel like it's so important. I really do like having wrestling fans in MMA, not because I particularly, care for their opinion or care that my timeline gets flooded every Monday night with dumb wrestling tweets, but we just need fucking money in the sport. We just need people fucking watching. And like, right now athletes are paid nothing, and there's only like maybe tops, like the most people you can get to watch an MMA event is like 5 million people in the world. We need every single fucking person we can to get some fucking money in these fighters' pockets so that they can train full time, so that we can continue to see high level MMA without a bunch of dumb fucking
is
wrestling
fans the way to do that? I mean,
Yes.
I get in arguments with people about like Brock Lesnar all the time. Like everyone says, "Oh, Brock Lesnar brought in a wrestling fan base."
Yes.
Did he really? Like he did for the first one against Frank Mir. Yes, I agree with that. But if he did like million pay-per-view fights after that, do we not just agree that he was a fucking freak of nature athlete that looked like fucking Ivan Drago that was beating the fuck out of people and people got into that? Like if Brock Lesnar was selling million buy events in UFC, why couldn't he do that in wrestling if it was all the wrestling fans coming over? That doesn't make any sense. The Masters doesn't fucking work.
I mean, but still, his story was known because of wrestling. He brought in a wrestling audience that was curious about him. This is a star-based sport.
Okay, but follow me through on the fucking numbers, man.
Yeah.
UFC, where he fought Mir the first time, and it was Nogueira and Sylvia underneath. All right, that did, I think, off the top of my head, 650. Someone will correct me if I'm wrong. I guarantee it, because everyone loves correcting people when they're wrong. But like against Carwin, a UFC 100 wasn't just him, but against Couture, he did a million fucking buys. So at what point do you say, okay, it wasn't the wrestling audience that is coming over, people were just into Brock Lesnar?
Yeah, I get the argument, but I think that it's a combination of things at some point, because to get to 1 million buys, you get like 400,000 from this category, and you get 400,000 of the MMA hardcores, and then like 200,000 from just the sheer spectacle of being some Viking beast warrior looking dude.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. In this early infancy part of MMA, we need to grab a little bit of these guys from over here, a little bit of these boxing idiots from over here. We need morons of all different types, Carlin. That's what I'm saying. We need dumbasses of all colors to come support this sport. Otherwise, we're just, there's just not enough of us to sustain like a full-time economy of MMA. Looks like he froze out on us again. So I wonder if his maid, pulled the plug on him again. At this point, I'll give my final grade for the entire card. I give this event a C-, a below average grade, because ultimately this fight card disappointed. I know that it's a tentpole event, and there was some really good spectacle, and we heard some good news, but ultimately all the events really just didn't hit for me. Phil Davis was my breakaway star. I think that both of his finishes were highlight reels, and because they can't use highlight reels from his previous bouts in the UFC, these are really good. way to start establishing a package for Phil Davis, so that they can bring him out to their more wide, more casual audience out there in Bellator. So that was Before the Bald Man Speaks. I want to thank my guest who is away due to technical issues, Carlin Bardsley, joining us all the way from Taiwan. Let's hope that he doesn't fire his maid over unplugging his internet cord twice. We'll bear with him for the technical issues, and we thank him for taking the time and waking up early over in the Pacific Isles to join us. I'm your host, as always, Andrew Lawrence. If you ever want to hit me up, I'm at The Clown Kid on Twitter. Don't forget the, otherwise you're talking to some other idiot. If you have any questions about this thing, sorry about the technical difficulties and whatnot throughout it, but it's just a Bellator card, so you shouldn't hold it against me too much there. Thank you for stopping with us as always, and we appreciate you viewing. And get at me on Twitter at The Clown Kid, and subscribe to the show on YouTube, Before the Bald Man Speaks, and share it with all your friends on social media. Thank you so much, everybody out there, and have a good night.